Alright, so for the electric go-kart, this is what I'm going to use for my charger. It's an HP server power supply. It's good for 12 volts, 30 amps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 6 of these, and I'm going to take 5 of these and run them in series. And I'm going to daisy chain them up, going plus minus, plus minus, plus minus. So 5 times 12 is 60 volts. That gets me what I need. I need about 57 volts or so, so this has enough power to charge. And I will be running it through the BMS to limit the charge current and the maximum voltage. But when you get these, they are not floating, they're actually tied. The negative on the server power supply is the case, and if you try to daisy chain them right now, it will pop the circuit breaker because of them. And to do that, take the screws out, open it up, and you have to disconnect the ground because the case is grounded, and then you have a metal connection from the case to the board. And so you have to put nylon screws, and you have to run nylon washers to float this guy from the housing. Alright, so I have taken all the screws out. I've also taken the screws out for the fan. This guy now comes over, and it's a slide lock, so you have to move it over and then slide it back. You can see, yeah, there you go. Oh, there you go, you can see how that works. So once you have that, you take this and you disconnect screw, 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 screw. And once you do that, the piece will pop out. You need to take this guy out also after you've taken this out. So once you pull out the screws, pull this guy out, get him out of the way, put him someplace safe, and you have to grind off these guys, these 4 posts. This is where it grounds the board to the case, and so those are where you have to put your insulators, and then drill out the hole to slightly over 3 millimeter, and then you can put a screw. And then I like to use these screws just because they're pan heads and they act like nice little feet and separators to separate all of them together. And this is basically what it's going to look like when it's all said and done. That's another set of 4 to get me 48 volts. And then they're just taped together, and you can see the screw head right there. That acts like a separator. I took out the insulating paper, and once you take out the insulating paper, you have easy access to these guys. And I use a couple of different tools to get cut off: a big cutting wheel, a small cutting wheel, and then a stone to sand it smooth. Alright, so you can see all of them are ground flat. I cut them, cut them and then grind them with the stone, or smooth them with the stone so that they're all sitting flat. Then I take nylon washers and glue, and then glue them back where they need to go, and I'll glue one set on here, and I will also glue another set on here where they belong. And I'll show you where they belong right now. You know, there, 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 and there. So I just go and stick the washers on, and then it's good to go. Okay, so yeah, now I've got the washers in place. They will dry while I work on this. And when you do this one, you want to put the insulator back in, and then put the washers down, just so that you know everything's in the right spot. Yep, and there you have it. You've got the spacers glued in the 4 spots. So now I have double thick nylon washers, and the reason I do double thick is because that's about the same height as what the original spacer was when it came out. So that's part of the spacer minus the blade of the cutoff wheel and whatever I had to grind off. So it's about twice as thick as that, and that's about the thickness of a washer. So 2 washers, about the same thickness.